Conversation is going round. People talking about the colors come to town. Fresh as a summer breeze, she'll take you by surprise.
Good morning and welcome to another fabulous episode of Fresh Waves. We have a wonderful show lined up today, and it's an appropriate show for this time of the year because we're going to talk about decorating your space to bring the warmth or maintain the warmth inside while it gets cold and chilly outside. And we have Jolana Pettifer in the studio this morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. And I thought I would invite you into the show while I do the intro. Jason, thanks for all your help behind the board.
My
and of
pleasure.
Course,
good morning.
Ivan Harris for all he does behind the board. And big shout out to Reese's Market and Bakery for the lovely muffins that we have in the studio today.
Yummy,
Morning
yummy.
glory! And it is a glorious morning, even though it's wet, cold, and raining. But welcome to the fall. That's what we can expect in the fall.
Absolutely.
And that's why we have you here to tell us how to warm things up inside your house. It's a little too early in October to start decorating for Christmas. In my opinion.
It is. Yep.
There are people who do it, but in my opinion it's a little early.
We've still got Halloween, right? So I find people are starting to put all their outdoor.
Yes, I've seen
Halloween,
that. But
which is
I
really
find
fun.
now that living in the country and having no kids at home, sorry about that, Eddie, you're home, but you're not a kid anymore. You know, I don't have to hang fake spider webs in the corners of my house, and I don't have to put 16 jack-o'-lanterns on the front porch.
It seems to be more in subdivisions, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Where you're seeing where there's usually younger families. So.
And I find most of the Halloween decorations are outside, unless you actually have kids.
most of them are. Yeah, most of them are. I agree, for sure. And what I'm loving is all the mums that are in the planters.
Yes. Don't they look pretty?
Oh, my goodness.
And I like that purple cabbage stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Isn't that nice, too?
Even that, it's almost whitey and green. Have you seen that one?
Ooh.
It's a type of cabbage as well, or a kale. And it looks like the most incredible, almost like a rose.
Oh, neat.
But a ginormous one. So, yeah, it looks stunning. And then, of course, all the tall elements look really pretty, too.
Yeah. Grasses and things like that.
Yeah.
Well, it's great that we have you here today. We're going to talk about a couple of things. We're going to talk about making our space feel warm and cozy. We're also going to talk about the trend of minimalism. I was in a beautiful old farmhouse not too long ago, and they have gone very minimalistic. Wood floors, original wood floors. They're all finished and shiny and beautiful. Sparse furniture.
Yeah.
And a big fireplace, but the room felt cold.
Yeah.
And in the wintertime, I think it's very important to feel warm and cozy. Now, that's just my opinion because I'm not big on the ultra-modern furniture, the stark look.
Clean lines.
I find that very cold. Yeah. But there has to be a way of warming it up, as we saw last year on the Stovall tour of homes.
Yeah, absolutely. So the one thing I'm going to tell you, and we're noticing this more and more, I think once we get to our sort of fourth or fifth home, we've collected so many things that the purge happens, and this is the need to simplify. So sometimes when we look at it as a modern, it's actually more simplifying one's life, because I think people are tired of, taking everything off the bookshelves and dusting everything and taking everything off the tables.
That's why you can write your name on my bookshelves. I can make pictures on mine.
Not an uncommon thing. Usually they clean them like 3 times a year, right?
Or you clean around the books.
Or you clean around the books too, right? Which, for sure, why not? I mean, we don't all have time to do that all the time. So I think a lot of it is like literally simplifying your life. We're all very busy. If we have kids, we're running around with children. If we've got teenagers, we're overseeing, we're watching, we're helping. As we get to become adults, our lives actually seem to be more and more filled with so many things to do. So when we get home, I think the last thing we want is to walk into a house where it's just like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? So that whole simplification movement, they're calling it a trend. It's not really a trend. I truly believe it's just people are tired of too much, and they're going back to sort of having that little bit more minimalistic look.
Mm-hmm. That's not to say that you have to throw out all of your precious little
Oh
trinkets.
gosh,
It's
no! You can give them away to family or care and share. Or there's so many
you can
beautiful
even put them in a treasure box. I have a
places.
nice
Yeah,
box in the
that's a great
basement, and
idea
it says
too.
Bren's Treasures.
Yep.
And you don't want to be the person that ever messes with that box without my
you
permission,
got that
because it's
right.
my stuff. And
Yeah, it's so true.
it's okay. You're allowed to
Yep.
keep some stuff. Just doesn't
And
have to
even,
be over.
and even as our kids grow up, to take all their precious things and putting them into clear containers and labeling them so that one day you can say, here you go. And then it's up to them to decide what they want to do with it. But yeah, absolutely. I think sort of going back to that minimalistic. Now, minimalistic means not as much stuff, but the way to warm it up, and you know I'm a huge advocate of this, is of course putting throws on your sofas or chairs or accent cushions. That just adds that comfort factor to a otherwise very clean, minimalistic home. Things like, and people don't think about this, dimmers, like putting dimmers on your lights. So if you don't have dimmers, you turn on that light, everything seems so bright and stark. So again, to be able to create that ambiance, and we've talked many, many times about sound, music, audio, which to me is as much a part of the whole design as the actual furniture that you're putting into the room. So there's all these elements of layering. Draperies. I mean, draperies can add so much warmth. So instead of just having blinds, which are great because they're going to serve the purpose.
Very functional.
Right. They're going to save your floors, or, it kind of keeps out the sun's harmful rays. But as soon as you add even non-functional side panels, which simply means they are on either side of the window, but they don't necessarily meet in the center. So we call that a non-functional side panel. It is incredible how much something as simple as that can warm up and completely change your space. So it's really a lot of fun to come up with ideas. Carpets, of course. Whether you're doing a hide on the floor, a cowhide on the floor, or whether you're doing a poly, whether it's a natural element or a synthetic element, a whole other way to, again, bring in that whole warmth element. So when you're thinking about your space, think of how you're going to use it. Who's going to be in it? Are you going to be on the floor? Are you going to be on the furniture? Because I promise you, if you think of how that space is going to be used, you won't miss anything. You won't.
Well, you just said hide on the floor, and I'm thinking, yeah, I hide my floor all the time. That's not what you meant.
But yes, for sure.
Okay, so let's talk about area rugs, because oddly enough, I did have a question yesterday from a listener who asked if area rugs are a thing still, because it does seem that when you look at flooring now, we've come away from a wall-to-wall carpet kind of thing, and we're looking more at floors that are hardwood or laminates, and there's some beautiful laminates.
Yep.
We spoke last time you were on the show about the laminates that even look like stone or slate.
Yeah.
So there's
the
beautiful
vinyl
laminates.
products. It's incredible today what you can do.
So when you have a large space, the listener said she had a very large great room that has now got beautiful new hardwood floors, and she's finding that first of all, it has an echoey feel to it.
Yeah.
And secondly, she's missing her warmth.
Yeah. And the other thing a carpet does, it defines your space. So
well, that's what she was saying. So how big do you
in her
go?
case, well, again, you're not going to cover up all these beautiful floors that you've just put in.
Right.
So typically,
that'd be back to the area rug. The wall-to-wall carpet.
Wall-to-wall carpet. So typically, there's kind of two rules of thought. You either do partly on or all on, or completely in front. So depending again on the space and how you see using the space, that will help to answer. If it's a really big room, you probably can do all the furniture on, because it will really truly help to define the area that she is identifying as the family room or the great room space.
Right, the sitting area.
Yeah,
so
the
to speak.
sitting area, so to speak. If you have a very small room, well, you don't want to fill up that entire room full of carpet. So in that case, I might say, if you've got your standard size sofa, maybe 84, 86 inches with a couple of chairs. Usually the 5x8 works really nicely because the 8 feet kind of covers the sofa.
Right.
And then the 5 feet is where you might have your chairs. And of course, you'll have some kind of a coffee table. Typically, if you like a patterned carpet, you may want to keep your carpets or keep your coffee tables perhaps glass or something so you can still see through to enjoy the pattern. Also in a small room, that works to your advantage because your eye doesn't stop at the hard elements. If it's a bigger space and you want more of a textural look or a sisal look or, something that has a bit more height and depth to it, almost like a three-dimensional type carpet, sky's the limit. You could do, reclaimed wood tables. You can do metal. I mean, you can do pretty much anything. But again, when you are working with your space, how am I going to use that space? Do I put wet things on it? Do I serve food on it? Is it going to be used as a games table? All those different things come into play because at our house we used to play games around the coffee table. So, you have to be prepared. Whatever surface you choose, you may want to choose one that is going to be conducive to some scratches or what have you. So just kind of choose wisely.
Choose wisely, both the table and the carpet. So if you're
Absolutely.
looking at carpets, I know that there's there's a lot of options.
There are.
For area rugs right now. I mean, you can go as inexpensive as going to GT Boutique and picking something up, or IKEA, or Costco.
Yep.
But then there are carpets that literally blow me away with the expense of the carpet.
And
what are
this
you
is-
getting for that extra money?
Well, you're getting a lot. So this is where budget, first of all, comes into play. If someone says to me they have a very, very healthy budget, then perhaps I'm going to start looking at a custom option, which means you can actually pick your colors, you can pick your patterns, you can pick your size, you can actually create your actual carpet. Then there's also handmade rugs. So those come at a cost. Like you start thinking of a 9x12, an 11x14, 8x10, it doesn't matter what size. Imagine the amount of hours it takes to create those hand knotted rugs. And some of them are so tight that the number of knots per square inch, you can't even see them. So it's related to the amount of labor, to the amount of work, and it's also related to the design of the actual carpet.
And then
so
when
that
you
all
spill your
helps.
coffee on it, you go,
Yeah, but you know what? There's lots of great carpet cleaners that are out there. So again, that never bothers me because if you're going to get a carpet because you fall in love with it, use it. If you need to have it cleaned, you go and have it cleaned. Provided you don't leave a stain to sit for a long time. That is what is very detrimental to a carpet. But for the most part, most of the carpets today, you can pretty much be assured that you're going to be able to have it cleaned. We had a client who had, do you remember those hand tied rugs? Do you remember those?
Yes.
And used to be able to get them in ovals. So she had it in an application. It was a beautiful, beautiful country home, really large piece, and they got a new puppy. Well, the new puppy decided it was a great place to lie, but what they didn't realize, he was pulling at it, and the whole thing came apart. Not only that, it was also stained. Called up a carpet refurbisher, if you will, came back like the day we installed it, and she was absolutely shocked at a fraction of the cost. Wasn't inexpensive, but at the same time, she didn't have to go buy
a whole new
a
one.
Brand new carpet, and she absolutely loved it. So she was pretty devastated when
Little puppy wrecked it.
yeah, but they loved the puppy, so they forgave the puppy.
As one must do, because puppies are so darn cute.
Yeah, and that's actually another thing we should talk about. When you're choosing your carpets, there are pet-friendly options.
As there are with flooring, right?
Oh,
The
my
scratches.
goodness. Absolutely. So just go into it educated. And it could be as simple as just getting on go on the internet, Google pet-friendly carpet options.
Yeah. If your kids are going back to university, for example,
Yeah.
do not buy an expensive carpet.
Oh, gosh,
Get the
no.
cheapest one you can find because you know that after terms of university, you're going to want to roll that
In
thing
fact,
up and
I
throw it out.
I think indoor-outdoor might be a really
Good
good
option. Make it look like grass. Looks like a field.
You can just
Turf it.
you can just wash it, hose it
Oh,
down.
yeah. Take it outside.
Sorry,
and hose it down.
that is not to suggest that university students do not take care of their.
Yes, a neighbor of mine has 5 kids, and it's really funny. I have
gosh.
to tell you this because the one thing that she used to get her kids for Christmas when they were in university was Molly Maid. They would she would
like once a
actually
month.
say,
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
on the Christmas break when everyone came home,
Yep.
she would tell her kids to tell their roommates to put everything they owned on the bed.
Wow.
And then she would have the cleaners come in and just clean the place from top to bottom because university students don't do that.
Okay, that almost reminds me of me. So second year university, Aaron got into a frat house, which was all boys. Not that there's,
Anything wrong
I'm
with
just gonna
that.
say. And I remember walking through the door, Bren, and I saw the carpet, and I called the gentleman, Jay, who I've been working with for 25 years, and I said, hey, I need a new carpet. I would not let those kids live in that house. The homeowner was thrilled because he ended up getting a carpet, but this carpet, you couldn't hurt it. It was so resilient.
Yeah.
Looked so amazing, but yeah, it was. So there are carpets that will take a considerable amount of wear and tear. For sure.
Keep a licking and still keep ticking.
You got it. That's about it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Don't give them your good teak dining room table and expect it to come back. Yeah. Anyway, those are stories we could
dear.
go on a whole hour show just about university children's stories.
Yes.
Yes, it's quite the thing.
But there are tons of products out there for every application
Right.
and every purpose you can possibly think of. And even years ago, when you used to go in and try and get a really functional carpet or a carpet, and they used to be all pretty ugly. They were. Today, it is, it's incredible how they've been able to, with research and development, come up with these incredible patterns and styles at not a price point that's going to break the bank account. So
And that's a good thing too,
it
isn't it?
is, yeah.
Now, I do have something that another listener
Yep.
called about, and if you do want to get a hold of us, Jason, do you want to tell people how to get a hold of us?
Yes, you can get a hold of us on Facebook, Freshwaves with Bren Masson. You can also contact us on Twitter at Freshwaves Radio, and we're also now on Instagram, Freshwaves Radio as well.
Perfect. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Now, one of the listeners called in and said that next month
Yes.
is Fall Prevention Month.
Yep.
Falls kill more seniors than
Yep.
anything else.
Yep. I can tell you a lot about that too.
And so she was saying, have you got any suggestions? Because she wanted to put the carpet runner, I think that's what you call
Up
it,
the
up her
stairs.
stairs.
Yep.
And she said she does not want that carpet with the plastic on top like she lived with all of her life when she was growing up. Her mother always had the plastic on top of the carpet to protect it.
Oh my heavens.
How do you get something that's functional but still looks good?
Yeah,
And do you have any recommendations of where to go and look?
There are so many, again, on the internet. So what you want to definitely look for is something with a lower pile. Anything that has a higher pile just is going to give you a little bit more friction. So if you find it difficult to lift your foot, for example, you want something as low pile as possible so that something's not going to be catching you.
Right.
Now, people think they have to spend a fortune for a carpet in order to get a really good quality. It's actually more important, believe it or not, to spend money on a really good underpad, because it's the underpad that helps the wear and tear of what is on top of it. So if you get a
Right.
really, really cheap underpad and a really, really good carpet, you may as well throw both of them out because it's not going to do you any good. It's almost like wasting money. So
Right.
again, look for something with a very low pile or even a very tight loop. And there's, again, so many options out there, which are wonderful. Even you can add some interest to it by binding them with different colors. There's really beautiful options out there, but that would be my recommendation. And it is safer to have a runner for sure on a hardwood stair tread. There's lots of beautiful options that will look like it's intended for a home, not for a commercial application, for sure. for
Okay,
sure.
and then she also asked, and what about the hand railings?
Yeah.
She has hand railings on one side. She probably needs to put it on two sides, but then does the handrail make the stairway look too narrow?
No, to me it's function. So if that is something where that's going to give you more reassurance and you're going to feel safer, then you absolutely can put a secondary handrail on the opposite side to where you have. So I'm assuming she has a wall.
Yes.
And then she has a handrail on the one side. So no, absolutely. Again, this is where I would contact in your area if there is a handyman perhaps that could come and do that for you. And when you're doing that, you don't have to get a really heavy handrail. You can get a handrail that's a little bit smaller perhaps than your actual handrail on your staircase. And knowing that down the road, if you sell your home, you take it off, you mud the walls, you paint the walls, nobody will know that there was a secondary handrail there. So no, to me, safety is really important. And if that is even a little bit of a struggle, you've even got the chair lifts that can be mounted onto your stairs that will take you up the stairs. So depending on, where she's at. But to me, it sounds like maybe just get the runner, get a secondary handrail.
Yeah, I think her question was more about does the handrail have to match the one on the other side?
It does not have to match it on the other side because typically on a normal staircase, it's heavier. So to have a really heavy one on the other side too.
That would make the stairway look a lot more narrow.
Yeah.
Visually,
you
it
can
would
get
be.
just a nice, clean, simple handrail. Now, if the handrail is not very large, sure, you can match it.
Yeah. On the
But
other side.
usually on a staircase, you have a heavier handrail, wooden handrail. For most staircases do. Yeah.
And that gives you a bit of a aesthetics too, because the handrails are usually quite nice.
Yeah. So again, I would not have her think about doing it, whether it looks right or not. Do it. Absolutely. If that's going to give you the comfort level you need, 100% do it.
Get her done.
Get her done.
Okay. Jason, we're going to take a little break here and pay some bills at the station. You're listening to Fresh Waves on 102.9 Whistle FM. And we'll be right back right after this. Stay tuned.